What up, motherfuckers? It's the hater. It's early morning, and I went outside for a walk and to get a coffee, and I was in the elevator, and I forgot that it's cold as a mug. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not cold as hell, but I went on a t-shirt thinking we're still in summer up in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? But it's actually September, motherfuckers. So there you go, bitches. All right. Now let's talk about the thing that we're here to talk about, all right? The real debut of Retribution, you know? I got a lot to say about this, you know what I mean? This was fucking weird to your boy, right? First of all, Retribution, I remember a few months ago, one of my friends, he's kind of a smart, he texted me and he said, hater. You know what I'm saying? He was like, today, there's going to be a big debut on Raw. A new faction is debuting, he said to me. So I'm like, oh shit, this is must-see TV, you know, a new faction is debuting, and they're advertising the new faction before it debuts. So I'm starting to think that this is going to be like a big-time faction, you know, with actual like implications, right? You know, it's going to be like some main event type shit, you know. So like, all right, that's cool, you know. So I tune in, nothing happens. You guys might remember that episode of Raw where they just showed 5 jobbers in masks just throwing a Molotov cocktail at some generator type shit, reminding me of Last of Us 2 and all those generator missions. You know, and nothing came of that, right? And that was like, I mean, I don't want to start guessing here, but it feels like it was about 2 months or so ago, you know? Definitely more than 1 month ago. So, since then, they've done absolutely nothing but just attack people. Now, fuck, it's cold. So, when people attack people in wrestling, typically there has to be a reason behind it, right? The reason for Retribution's attacks is that they're fed up with the system, right? Obviously, we've heard this song and dance several times. Nothing new is being said here, right? But usually, when people attack the system, right, it's important to have a face attached to it, right? So it's like, I'm attacking the system, right? The face, the identity, creates the story behind it, right? So for example, let's look at the Nexus, right? Nexus attacking WWE superstars makes sense, right? They're like, well, hold on a second. Why are we on this bullshit show? You know what I mean? Like, we're badasses. Like, why are we on this bullshit show being mentored by Goldust? You know what I'm saying? So like, the argument is there, right? Like, these people banded together and they refused to take the route, if you will, of them just kind of like, there was like 8 of them, of 7 of them being jobbers and 1 of them getting a contract. They're like, no, we stand together. You know what I'm saying? We're all getting contracts, right? So that was kind of the point. Now with Retribution, it's hard to do that because these people don't have faces and identities. Until last night, one might argue, right? So I'm watching that son bitch, and out comes Mia Yim. Now she's wearing this weird ass Bane mask on the bottom part of her face, right? Now, this is extremely stupid because it's obviously Mia Yim. They took no effort to like hide who she is, right? She was wearing makeup, you know what I'm saying? Like she was trying to look good while wearing this Bane mask, which in my opinion is inconsistent with the Bane mask, right? The whole point is like, yo, either you're like trying to like look good or you're trying to hide your identity, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do both, right? The other one is obviously that Mercedes Martinez broad from NXT, right? All of a sudden they're friends now. Who the fuck knew, right? You know? So that's happening. And then you get a big black guy with long hair, which people are saying is Dio Madden. I mean, who else could it be, right? You know what I'm saying? And then you have clearly Dominic Dijakovic with a shaved head. And then you have a 5th guy who no one gives a fuck about. Who cares? People are saying it's Shane Thorne. I think it is. He seems like that size. You know, I guess it's good to see Shane Thorne do something just because like he's been in NXT for like 15 years or whatever, you know? So that's kind of nice, right? But the problem with this entire logic is that now that they're not hiding themselves, they're just half-ass hiding themselves, right? Like they're wearing these half masks where it's clear you can figure out who it is, right? Now, in the context of the storyline, you wouldn't be able to know, right? You wouldn't know. You wouldn't be able to deduce that it's Dio Madden unless you knew that Dio Madden worked for WWE, right? Like in the context of the show, they don't work there exactly, right? Like, I don't know exactly what the storyline is going to be, but the impression that I get is that these are like people that have been released or something, right? They're not employees, you know? Or maybe they are employees, and now they got contracts for Raw, because the whole story was like they just got contracts for Raw, right? And they've been in NXT and developmental for a long time, and that's kind of their shtick. Maybe that's it, you know? But if that's it, this is like Nexus, but even worse. Because at least Nexus was put on TV. You know, Dio Madden, like, last time I remember, he was like an announcer. Brock Lesnar whooped his ass. We haven't heard of him since, you know? Fucking Shane Thorne, this guy is like a jobber on NXT. Like, he's like probably the biggest jobber in the company right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anybody in this entire company that's like, maybe like Kona Reeves. You know what I'm saying? He's like right there with Kona Reeves. So that's what I'm getting at, right? It's a bunch of jobbers. Mia Yim, like, I mean, I don't have anything against the broad. I don't have anything against Mercedes Martinez either. But it's like, come on, like, we know where their careers are destined to go. What the fuck is this? Holy shit, it's a fucking trash truck making all this noise next to me, motherfucker. Anyway, so, yeah, like, does anyone expect Mercedes Martinez to do anything in WWE? Like, realistically? You know, this is going to be her best chance by far. But it's like, do you expect them to do anything, right? It's like, she's like a lesser version of Shayna Baszler, right? She's like 40 or some shit, right? Like, Mickie James is like a 6-time champion. She's 40, and people are like, oh, Mickie James is old. Oh, Mercedes Martinez, what a fresh face. What the fuck has she done? Oh, she wrestled in Shimmer. Who the fuck knows what that is? Nobody knows what the fuck that is. So that's what I'm getting at, man. Same thing with Mia Yim. Like, I've seen Mia Yim in some local independent show that I went to like 15 years ago, and she was over. People knew who she was. Like, I didn't know who she was, obviously. But all these beards knew who she was, and now she made it to the big time. Good for her. I ain't hating, you know what I'm saying? But let's be real. This is a jobber faction, right? And rumors are, motherfucks, I hope these are not true, but rumors are that the main event of Survivor Series is going to be some sort of elimination match, perhaps an intergender one, like let's say like a 5-on-5. These 5 jabrones versus 5 Raw or SmackDown or WWE, Team WWE type shit, right? And I'm thinking to myself, let's not get ahead of ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, like, you're suggesting that we put Shane Thorne in the main event of Survivor Series, along with Dio Madden, who, as far as I know, has never wrestled one match for WWE on TV. And all of a sudden, I guess, except for last night, you know? Like, these motherfuckers are going to be in the main event. Who are they going to wrestle? Like, in terms of, like, hierarchy, someone like Braun Strowman or Randy Orton or Roman Reigns or AJ Styles should be pinning these guys like 5-on-1, no problem. You know what I'm saying? AJ Styles should be squashing this entire faction. So I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it's going to be them versus, like, I don't know, Andrade and like some, you know, that type of like wrestler, that level on the card. So what I'm thinking is, it's a complete waste of all of our times, and this already is a failure as far as I'm concerned, right? First of all, the fact that they took off their masks to replace them with other masks is goofy as shit. They're wearing literally Bane masks, you know? And it's like, dude, all I can think about is Bane and how Batman whooped his ass. So like, what the fuck am I supposed to be scared of, like, Dijakovic and Dio Madden? I mean, they're big guys. I mean, like, they might be, there might be some potential there. Like, Dio Madden, like, I thought he was an all-right announcer considering he was just like completely new. But I feel like he's more of a jobber than he's going to be a star. So we'll see, you know what I mean? We'll see what happens. The match was pretty shitty, I thought. Like, they all looked like rookies. You know, there was like these moments where like Dijakovic was going to clothesline someone over the top rope, like Cedric Alexander, I don't remember who it was, right? He was going to clothesline him over the top rope, or maybe it was Lashley. And Lashley's just like, he's like 3 feet from the ropes, and this guy's an idiot, so he tries to clothesline Lashley, and Lashley has to like jump backwards like Will Hobbs did in that Battle Royal on AEW, you know what I'm saying? So there you go. I mean, like, that's pretty much all I have to say. I know that I said I would say a lot, and I still have some thoughts, but at this point, they're not fully fleshed out because we don't know enough about Retribution, you know? But for some reason, 5 of them got a contract, right? This is the main point, motherfucks. The main point is like, what the fuck? That makes no sense, right? Think about what that means, right? This means that if I wanted to get a job at, I don't know, let's say Apple, in this bitch, or maybe Amazon, or I don't know, Target, who cares, right? Any store, you know, I could just walk in that store, take a shit in the middle of the showroom, throw a Molotov at their generator, break a few windows, and then I expect fucking Microsoft, Bill Gates himself, to be like, you know what, hire this motherfucker, hire this guy called the Hater. He shat right in the middle of our store, and he deserves a job, so we can put him in his place, whatever the logic is, right? What the fuck does that mean? Like, for 2 months, Retribution has not only been beating up wrestlers, but their message, their mission appears to be to ruin the show. You know, like all these little things that we've been tolerating on Raw and SmackDown, like the mics being cut off, the lights flashing and all that other shit. Like, these are things that like, if you're a company, you don't want that, right? And maybe that's the logic. Like, they don't want it, so they just hire them. But it's like, dude, these are people that you should find and arrest. You know what I'm saying? If someone's fucking with your business, you find them and you arrest them. But in WWE, they just get contracts, right? They just get contracts. Like, this also, like, trivializes any other kind of, like, bullshit thing WWE does. Like, if they do Tough Enough again, it's like, wait, why do I have to try so hard? All I gotta do is take a shit in the performance center and I can get a contract, apparently, right? So it makes no sense from a kayfabe perspective, right? One. Two, the entire point that Retribution was making was like, yo, we're not here for the money. You know, we're here to, like, change the culture, right? We're here to, like, to create change. They're another group that wants to create change. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, then why the fuck did you take the contracts, right? Why did you do it? So then the powers that be can tell you now you have to wrestle? You know, why the fuck do you even want to wrestle? Like, if you're there to just make change, you should just be attacking people before and after matches. Like, why are you even getting in the ring, right? It's inconsistent. Nothing makes sense about this bullshit faction, right? I actually had some high hopes when this thing started because I'm like, all right, I want to see where it goes. But it's like different people. You know, there's like 50 people in the faction, and obviously only 5 of them got contracts for some reason, right? And on WWE.com, because I clicked on a link, and it was like the 5 core members of Retribution got contracts. Who the fuck said they're core members? Like, what the fuck does that even mean? You know, like, in their first few weeks, it wasn't even them. Like, Dio Madden wasn't there for the first few weeks. It was some short guy with a chainsaw. You know? Like, these are the 5 core members. They're the 5 best people that Retribution has. So you mean to tell me that one of the 5 best people in this faction, one of the core members, is Mercedes Martinez and Shane Thorne? That's what this faction is based upon? Get the fuck out of here, man. This faction should be feuding with, like, Lucha House Party, and Lucha House Party should go over them in terms of how everyone's been booked. You know, like, if you had, like, two weeks ago, if Shane Thorne was lucky enough to be on TV, right, it would be him versus, like, Lince Dorado, and he would lose in, like, a 4-minute squash match, right? And he'd probably get hit with, like, a piñata, you know, like, he'd be embarrassed completely. Like, nobody likes this guy. So that's what I'm getting at, you know? Like, there has to be some consistency. You know, you can't just put a Bane mask on Shane Thorne and now present him to me as if he's a big deal. Gotta be thinking about Killer Cross a little bit. Like, didn't Killer Cross just completely emasculate the much larger and much stronger Dominik Dijakovic? Like, imagine if one day, like, somehow Retribution's still around and Karrion Kross comes to the main roster, right? Like, what the fuck? He would just look at this guy and be like, yo, I beat the shit out of you. Like, now get the fuck out of my way before I do it again, bitch. Right? You and all your friends. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking to myself, there's no consistency. And in WWE, it's easy to reinvent yourself by just putting on a mask, taking off a mask, and now you're a different character all of a sudden, you know? Not good, motherfuckers. Not good. I would even say it's not even as, like Dark Order is better than this garbage, you know? So that's what I gotta say about that, motherfuckers. So, yeah, expect another video today probably, but I had to get this one out of the way, man. This one was really bothering me up in this bitch.